I think I'm just gonna say up front, I'm like, welcome to Corner Späti or whatever, the podcast where we never give our podcasts sensible fucking titles. So good luck finding us, Grey Wolves. This episode will probably be called Poopy Butthole or whatever. So like, fuck it. Our SEO game is on point. No one can find us.
Yeah, maybe not the best thing for when you're trying to expand a podcast.
I know, but it's just so funny when I recommend episodes to people. It's like, do you ever do an episode on D-Linka? Yes, it's called Racist Hand Jobs.
Yeah.
Come on, it makes sense.
It makes sense. Listen to the episode, it makes sense.
It does, but you gotta,
The
you gotta
title
dig
is
deep.
all like that's how you get people.
Yeah, we are like a.
And who doesn't like hand jobs?
Yeah, we're like a fucking like mid 2000s metal.
though.
We're like a mid 2000s metalcore band where all the fucking songs are called like Reptar King of the Ozone and shit like that.
That's a fucking amazing song.
Actually,
name.
can we just give this episode the episode title of like a scene song,
A what?
like a scene song, like an emo song, or a?
Oh, yeah.
Can we just that should be the title of the episode, and we should actually okay. So that we don't get tracked down and sent like death threats, I think in the show notes we should refer to the Grey Wolves as Fall Out Boy. We're like, this is an episode about Fall Out Boy. And then just list all the things that Fall Out Boy have
like
done.
a liability
Fall Out Boy is-
or something. Can they sue us?
Fall Out Boy can definitely
Or is
sue
that
us for
liability?
fucking libel or some shit. German. Yeah.
This episode about Fall Out Boy denying the Armenian genocide.
Pete Wentz, why are you keep denying
I
that?
like this.
I thought you're from
Yeah.
a left hardcore scene. Didn't you just say?
Yeah. I raise you. You're Pete Wentz. I raise System of a Down. Hey! Welcome to your weekly Corner Späti. We got almost the full gang. It's myself, Nick, joined by Yulia,
Hello.
and via the internet, I got Kieran Dold.
Yo, what up? I'm reading about all the family drama with fucking Erdogan's son-in-law.
I forgot about that. Yeah, wasn't he like the head of the central bank or something like that?
Yeah, and he was
Yeah.
like kicked out, and he like messily like resigned on Instagram.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yo, hearts in the chat. my fucking father-in-law's a piece of shit.
I mean, the lira is not doing well, so
It's all his.
No, it is not.
I wonder whose fault that is. Fucking Erdogan's son-in-law. It's definitely not Erdogan's fault.
never. It's never Erdogan's fault.
Silver spoon. Boy.
Exactly. Yeah. So, a perfect segue right there to our main topic of. We are talking about, we've kind of made this a recurring segment on the show of, Europe. Show us your fascists, like kind of. We've done one of our very first episodes, which we've hit on, I think twice now, has been Golden Dawn. Greek ultranationalist fascists, piece of shit. We've talked about.
Several German Nazis.
Yeah, Germany has a problem. But, this time we've talked about Norway, or I think, was it Norway? Yeah. Europe. Wild, big place. Lots of politics. Politics be doing things. We're moving to what, depending on who you ask, it's Europe. Some people say yes. Some people say no. Let us find out.
Russia.
Russia. No. This week we're talking about Turkey. My favorite country, and we're talking about a very specific group that may be more active outside of Turkey than inside of Turkey. We will maybe find out later if that's true. The Grey Wolves. Yes, we're talking about Chapo Trap House today. Well, we're talking about the actual Grey Wolves, not the ones who are
Not Patreon.
Yeah, not the Patreon subscribers of a certain Brooklyn-based
Podcast.
left-wing podcasts, but the ones who actually commit murders and do bad shit and are ultra
Horrible.
right-wing neo-Ottoman pieces of shit.
Yes.
So yeah. And the reason I guess that we're kind of bringing this up is that it's become the topic of the last 2 or 3 weeks, I would say, amongst that of the European, the European core of France and Germany, kind of
the leaders, the European kings.
Leaders. Our God King emperors of Emmanuel Macron kind of single-handedly taking this feat to himself, and Germany with multiple organizations, or multiple political parties taking this up as like their fight for multiple different reasons. But it's kind of like, before we get to that, who and what really are the Grey Wolves have always kind of been a massive enigma to me, because I know that they've existed. Yeah. They're really active in Germany. They're actually quite visible and vocal depending on where you go.
Big ass
active fascist group.
Yeah.
That kind of gets grouped in really weirdly because they aren't. I don't know how to probably because they're not white nationalists in a weird way, like. They kind of get swept under the rug sometimes.
I mean, I think it's just like, this is the core paradox of this whole thing, is that Germans discriminate against Turkish people, but Turkish ultra-nationalists, like fascist, kind of join Nazi forces. So they're like so it's really confusing for the Germans as well, you know? They're like, shit. Should we like them as Verfassungsschutz, you know? Should we like them because we like Nazis? So should we like them as well? Or should we not like them because they're Turkish? It's really confusing. So this group was founded, it's around since 1969, as far as I know, founded by Alparslan Turkish. And have been known
when your last name's Turkish, you have to be a Turkish ultranationalist. Like, there's no other option for you in life.
And have been, especially in the 70s, not 17s, would also work. In the 70s, have been extending into like a paramilitary group. It was where they started off as a party, as far as I know, a party that is still around and seen as the opposition to Erdogan, the MHP. But in the 70s, they started to expand into a paramilitary group. And this group was like, especially with very young people, young guys, mostly like young lads trying to fight for the Ottoman Empire in the 70s. And they were very active in the fight against the PKK. So when in the 70s, the PKK, the Kurdish people, Kurdish Workers' Party, party tried to gain rights for the Kurdish minority in Turkey, picking up weapons. The MHP and their paramilitary armed branch.
The paramilitary wing of the MHP. Yeah.
Exactly. Started to get involved in the fights. And actually that is something that is very, very, I think, important in their ideology, is the fight against communists.
Oh, yeah, and especially the year of 1969 is pretty significant as well, because that is, I mean, like anti-communism being big, that there is a massive. I think one of the things that's most important to them too is that they are not just a Turkish ultranationalist organization; they are a Ottoman ultranationalist organization, very specifically wanting to go back to the old borders of the Ottoman Empire, like in its glory years, which is like massive and encompasses a lot of countries.
That is because in there they have like an oath they're taking, and this oath is
Turkish 14 words, but it's just one really, really, really long word.
This oath is actually mentions Turan. I don't know what the English word for that is, but it would be all the regions where Turk people were settling in history. Mm-hmm. So that is why they actually also use the wolf, because there's like there's a myth, like a mythology about this wolf, and the wolf being like, it is actually a female wolf, but I think that was reversed.
Ladies.
You
it's kind of fascist too.
I think it's a bit like Rome,
it's it's like the Jay-Z line of like, ladies is pimps too, go and brush your shoulders. Ladies is grey wolves too, go and become a Turkish fascist.
Yes. So it is this wolf, and this wolf has something to do with the origin myth of like Turkish people, of Turk people. So that is why they use the wolf. And it's also, the wolf is actually, it comes from this myth, and they use the three
The
crescents.
3 crescent moons, yeah.
Yeah, and you have something to say about that because you know more about Ottoman Empire.
What about the oh no, the 3
Yeah.
crescent moons though are too just the it's also the MHP's official logo too. So I think it's like the thing that then is also just super weird about them as well is that they are like you mentioned, like they are like a pan-Turkic organization, but they also like hate a lot of groups then within the borders of then what their like dream Turkey would be like.
Oh yeah.
So they're incredibly like they want this like Turkic ultranationalism of they. It's kind of like weird too because there is, depending on who you ask and like what like branch of history or historiography you look at, like the idea then of like Turkic race science doesn't come until like the Germans introduced it to them after World War I, and then you have like the branch of Turkish ultranationalism that
The Young
comes.
Turks.
Yeah, literally, yeah,
Yeah.
with the sense
Yeah.
of then like the foundation of the Turkish nation state.
I mean,
and all
yeah,
that
that's
stuff.
why you have Turkey.
Yeah.
Because they started to, have
Yeah.
this idea of a Turkish nation and Turkish people.
Yeah, no, of
Yeah.
course. And it comes with then in the sense of like a post World War I identity of then around a nation state that never existed before, which was Turkey. Like, so it is like I think we have to kind of like back up for a second too. That then it is also like a super modern identity as well. Like the idea then of like of a what's it called? Yeah, like a pan-Turkic thing is yeah, I don't know how much to believe it because a lot of people say that then like that it was exported from the Europeans, but there was already then this sense of like a social hierarchy within the Ottoman Empire, depending which era you look at, because like social and racial hierarchies in the Ottoman Empire did not reflect a European structure of it most of its history, So I think we kind of have to like tread on that lightly in the sense of how this is a formulation that then comes post World War I of a Turkish identity that then is then Turkic, and that then also then finds it that then a bunch of groups that then, although they live in the Ottoman Empire at the time, Armenians probably the most
Greek.
Armenians, Greeks, and Kurds probably being like the most let's say notorious, but that would be
Alevite.
Yeah, and this is very much then stayed alive within the sense how the Grey Wolves like deny every genocide that was ever committed by the Ottoman Empire.
And you also see it in their now alliance with Azerbaijan, for example, saying these are our brothers in the sense of these are like
making
Turkic.
cheesy ass fucking metal songs with the Azerbaijani military.
Wait, they did?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
Oh hell no, I didn't.
And this is kind of the thing that then's really interesting is because like we although it sounds like the Grey Wolves and Erdogan get along a lot, this actually wasn't always the case up until like maybe like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So the sense of Erdogan becoming much more radical on his new Ottoman sort of goals has then convinced a lot of people within the MHP and the Grey Wolves that Erdogan, while they don't think that Erdogan is right wing enough in a lot of senses, they're willing to then use him as kind of like the arbiter of this great Turkic project.
So MHP is still opposition party, but I mean in 2015 that was I think when they started to trust Erdogan again because there were like there were protests in the south of Turkey. As far as I know, I might be wrong. Correct me if I'm.
I'm not.
Okay. That they started because the way that Erdogan was going, like using force against Kurdish minorities in Turkey, kind of made them believe that this is the guy to go with for now.
Yeah.
And before, of course, Erdogan did promise like getting closer to the EU, trying to the whole like pre-accession period of Turkey. And of course, that was not the guy they wanted to, especially if their narrative is that everything from the outside, like Western, everything that is Western is actually a threat to Turkish nationality. So, but now Erdogan is, of course, going a path that we all already talked about, going having this double strategy of kind of acting like he is an anti-fascist in his speeches.
Erdogan's anti-imperialism and his anti-fascism is one of the weirdest shit on the face of the earth because he tries to like I get his game. His game is to then use the thing that then the right always makes fun of the left of in the West of like, see, you guys aren't critical of, critical of Islam, whatever the fuck the right wants to throw at the left. And then Erdogan always uses that in the sense of like, they're doing that, like wanting them to be critical of Islam. The real thing is actually to be pro-Turkish, because then you're being like pro-Muslim or whatever, or pro-Islam, but it's like in a horribly uncritical way then as well, too.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey, Europe is being racist, the anti-racist thing, or the anti, or like, Europe is Islamophobic. The way to then counter Islamophobia is to support my weird fucking Turkic nationalist, right-wing fascist project.
And I find that actually interesting, because that fits so well into the ideology of Grey Wolves, because they also
Christianity, but that's not
that's another Nazi fascist group
from the same country.
Because they in their oath that I mentioned before mentioned, first of all, of course, that they fight communism. That's the first thing on the list. Capitalism, but also fascism and imperialism. And as imperialism, that is basically like Western imperialism or anything that, or Israel a lot of the times as well. So like America, Israel is kind of used in our narratives, and but also fascism, which would be,
just the European kind of fascism.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the one that they do. Yeah, but this is, and I like I said, I think it's like genuinely a brilliant thing, because it's kind of like I don't want to call it like a marketing campaign from the Grey Wolves, but it really is a thing of then kind of using these tendencies of then like, hey, like, kind of to broaden it out within the sense of how like media and stuff like that works. Like, look at then how you have like Now This, which is like part of RT. Mm-hmm. You have, what is it, TRT now, which is like the Turkish one.
Yeah.
And they've become like, I don't know if you've ever seen their like international reports and whatnot, but the way that they like try to change the narrative about things like the Kurds, about what Turkey is doing, like imperialistically, or in their opinion, preserving the borders of the natural rightful borders of Turkey and whatnot. They come off in a really good way that like Al Jazeera does their shitty videos, or AJ Plus or RT. Like, they've been trying to break into that way, trying to get into like the SJW crowd, into trying to convince them that then the way to be against Islamophobia is to support the Turkish nationalist project, which isn't gaining traction. Like, every leftist that I know in Europe and the United States fucking hates Erdogan, and they don't really buy it. And even people then who are in the like progressive Muslim community don't buy it either. Like, I don't think I've ever met someone who wasn't conservative to a degree, who wasn't pro Erdogan. Like, it hasn't been a thing that's been, even at least on the Erdogan sense, not even to mention the Grey Wolves thing, it hasn't crossed over.
Here. If we look into Turkey, we can see that it's kind of like almost like, I don't want to say mainstream, but it goes in the way that you have CHP. Like I said, the mayor, I don't know if he's still mayor in Ankara, but he was a member of the CHP and still part of the Grey Wolves. So you can be like a Kemalist and you can still be part of the Grey Wolves.
Kemalism isn't that far off though from the
there was a short time when the MHP was forbidden. They were banned from attending they were just forbidden, a forbidden organization. But that was only after the military coup in the 80s, and very quickly afterwards they were restored, and now they're really big.
Damn, it's almost like, the overlapping histories of Greece and Turkey are very similar when it comes to anti-communism. But whatever.
Yes.
Maybe there's something we could look into that there.
But overall, why this is a problem? Because they are not only a party that is, like a far right-wing, like fascist, ultranationalist party. It's also because they murder people.
Oh, yeah.
And this kind of brings us into like the main, like, why are we talking about them now? Well, I think, was it 2-3 weeks ago, like Macron kind of took up, in response to the Armenia, Azerbaijan, Turkic proto-war, the proxy war Turkey was doing via Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
Macron wanted to be the good European that he is, and was the first one to then propose banning the Grey Wolves.
Especially after an incident where Turkish nationalists, the Grey Wolves, were attacking and vandalizing a monument that was dedicated to the Armenian genocide, the genocide against Armenians in
Why would you call it the Armenian genocide?
Okay, yeah, sorry.
What are you, a Turkish nationalist?
No. Oh my God, no.
Wanting to call it the Armenian genocide?
No. I have my English. Sorry, it's not my first language.
She was doing it in French, where everything gets
exactly.
reversed. Genocide
exactly.
of Armenia.
Exactly.
Génocide Armenia. Because like, I think it's also very easy for Macron to do that as a move because he is desperately trying to like not lose to Le Pen and National Front. So like anything that's seen as him taking on Islamic extremism of any form, even though like the Grey Wolves is a very specific type of, it's not really Islamic extremism, even though they're like very anti-Shia. It is like, it's Turkish nationalism.
So yeah, like Macron's kind of taken the sense of being, like you mentioned, like there's this competition between him and the right of, who's going to handle quote unquote Islamic extremism the best. And I think that then the discussion also kind of took on a similar thing within Germany as well, because there were three main parties that have also come forth wanting to ban I was just fucking say Golden Dawn again.
It's just so confusing.
It is, trying to ban the Grey Wolves, and these three parties are then Die Linke, who see the Grey Wolves as a fascist organization, who are ultra racist, ultranationalist, just shit, and they commit a lot of crime. Like we're going to get to that now, obviously. Like Julia mentioned the murders.
They also specifically want to ban the like Grey Wolves like salute or hand gesture.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rock and roll logo.
Or like the dog shadow puppet.
Yeah.
They want to have the same treatment as a Roman salute.
I read something about like that the two fingers up, I don't know if it's true. Then maybe I shouldn't say it. That the two fingers up, like one of them is a pillar of like Islam, the other thing is the world, and the other thing is another thing. I don't know. Anyway,
I don't know. Yeah. I really don't.
That's like when
care
someone tells you
way.
new metal stands for new urban metal. I was like, no, it doesn't. Fuck off.
I mean,
anyway,
and then the other two parties are then the Greens, led by Cem Özdemir, and then the last
third
one,
party is CDU, right?
No, the AFD.
AFD. I don't know about the CDU. Maybe them as well. But sources say that the CDU has some Grey Wolves in their own ranks. But we come to that later.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, not allegedly.
Okay. No, CDU also wants to ban the salute.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
They don't want to ban the Green.
So they they don't want to only the salute. Yeah, that will definitely do a lot. So no, the AFD. The AFD also wants to ban the Grey Wolves, but this is
just because they're racist. Though.
Because they're racist, exactly. I mean, seriously, they would probably get along with them.
But it's
maybe.
There's definitely. Okay. I guarantee you, in like. It's going to be outed in some sort of really awful like AFD youth Telegram chat when that's all leaked. They're going to have the meme of like, "Mom, I want to do fascism, but we have fascism at home," and then like a picture of the Grey Wolves.
Yes.
That's like an AFD meme.
You joke about that. They are the largest neo-fascist organization in Germany.
Yes, they are.
They have like 40,000 members.
Actually, it's like they say like 18 to 11,000 known members in organizations that are tied to the Grey Wolves. We don't know about the actual, because there are definitely people, identifying with it or being members and shit like that. That is just like the numbers between is also an interesting between like 11,000, 18,500 people. Yeah. That is,
like card carrying Grey Wolves, card carrying. What was the Latin name for them again, Kieran?
Canis lupus.
Yes.
Yeah. So in Germany, that would make them the biggest ultra right wing organization.
I think they're also the largest organized crime organization in Germany as well. They're massive.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And
but this is like we already dipped our toes into this topic. That is a weird thing that I just said, but maybe it works in English.
It did actually, yeah.
Okay, but it is this paradox, and we talked about this, how you have you have a left-wing party, like the left, Die Linke, wants to ban them, but you also have the AfD who wants to ban them. And for especially a lot of the times when we talk about that in Germany, we just find ourselves in a mess that is just a reproduction of a discriminated discourse against Turkish people. And so the critique on the Grey Wolves, you just have, you don't have the actual, analysis of what it is and why to ban them, etc., etc. You just have a reproduction of racist discourse against Turkish people, and that is a big problem.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, like the receipts of crimes that they've committed are massive for an organization. I mean, the thing of it is that then the Grey Wolves have been responsible in Germany alone for things like, murder and, other typical criminal activity. But one of the weirdest ones is that then, which I think has become more recent, is that there's these are obviously speculated in the sense that there's these ties within then the Turkish secret, security, the Turkish military intelligence community and whatnot, between like the Grey Wolves and ISIS and stuff like that, and that they've kind of allowed then the people to kind of like slip through the cracks and end up in, magically appear in Syria, who were then in Turkey at one point, and like that's become obviously a problem for like European quote unquote national security, but it still isn't enough then to because there isn't like the definitive proof in that sense either, though, because a lot of it's speculation, a lot of it's within these clandestine channels that then exist within like the whatever the Turkish military intelligence thing is called. But
But the thing is, why I was saying that was reproducing racist discourse, etc., is that a lot of the times the people that are victims of Grey Wolves, that are murdered by Grey Wolves, are other people that come from Turkey or from so people Kurdish people or left-wing Turkish politicians or Turkish German politicians. Or Alevite, do you say Alevite?
Alawite, yeah.
Alawite, you say? Okay, we say Alevitan. Exactly, so left-wing Turkish people. So people that come from Turkey but that are not seen as Turkish people by Turkish ultranationalists, or people that are seen as being Turkish by Turkish ultranationalists but are on the far left or are left in any way or did critique anything or did put up a fight with the MHP or something like that. So, and as we know in Germany, the German institutions don't give a fuck if people are killed that are not seen as German by the German institutions. So maybe that is a reason why they don't give such a big fuck about banning them. Also, maybe they don't give a fuck because there are actually a lot of fucking ties to politics in Germany. So I fucking forgot about that one. I know that we briefly mentioned it, but yeah. So there are a lot of integration councils in different cities in Germany, and there were a lot of scandals about it because people would get elected and these people would turn out as being members of the Grey Wolves. So in Germany.
Yeah, they have this is the thing too. I forget the name of probably one of the largest organizations within Germany is there's a Turkish Sunni organization that is really big where you're from in NRV.
Oh, of course.
That has one of their biggest programs is to prop up mosques and stuff like that. Typical normal programs for integration and whatnot. But they're propped up by then either one that of the kind of pro Erdogan movement and whatnot, but a lot of times also then with in connection with the Grey Wolves in order to promote things like not even just religion and whatnot, which is perfectly fine, but then to promote also things like Turkish nationalism and to Armenian genocide denial and whatnot. So it is kind of all over the place with their involvement with within Germany alone, because there is a massive diasporic community here, and how they also then have kind of within integration politic and whatnot use the racism of Germans against the sense of Germany and Europe to then be if you were against the Grey Wolves, you're actually a racist, or you're actually this, you're actually that, which is really genius of their part. Like if you kind of think about it.
It is, and it is also like it is this paradox of that I was speaking about, because as it is tied to the like history of migration in Germany, when it comes to it has to do with a strategy of mobilization, like mobilizing people or like recruiting people. And that is quite easy when people in Germany already feel left out, excluded from society, or do have to face like everyday racism in Germany. Or discrimination based on...
this thing. Yeah. It's the thing of like Erdogan's anti-imperialism and anti-fascism, or like anti-racism.
Exactly.
Is that Europe's racist? The thing you have to do is then do whatever, like follow his like neo-Ottoman dreams and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it works so well in this country because then the thing that then I've talked shit about this multiple times on the show, but like things like the Unteilbar demonstration that happened last year, 2 years ago. What was that? 2018, wasn't it?
Oh, it was 2018.
Yeah. The Grey Wolves marched with like massive Ottoman flags and stuff like that, and a bunch of left-wing organizations dipped out because they were like, why will you not critique this? And the thing is, it's actually really hard within Germany to critique the Grey Wolves because you don't want to be seen as racist, because the thing that they'll do is that they'll go and say, well, you just hate Turkish people, even though I think everyone and their mom knows that the Grey Wolves are a racist, ultra right-wing organization. It's just that they're not racist against then like the typical people,
or like, not against the Germans.
Yeah, exactly. Which you can't be within Germany. You can't be racist against Germans.
I know. Exactly.
But it's like they're racist against other people who are also seen as like Untermenschen within like the German white national, like within like the German white supremacist view of the world.
Not saying that Unteilbar has this view of
no,
the
it
world.
does, but it really, but it still
is,
steps.
It
it's
is,
like it may not be that like Unteilbar in itself is like a white nationalist organization. Of course not. I'm not saying that. But the sense of the matter is that then like when you have a state that then is a white supremacist state, more or less, just historically speaking, like you can't go and then
definitely historically speaking.
Definitely no. I mean definitely historically speaking, but not in the sense that then like yeah, whatever, fuck it. Unteilbar is maybe not a racist organization, but then you can't then claim anti-racism and then ban Turks. Like it's not a good vibe.
Okay, yeah. The problem is that white German leftists or progressive or whatever they want to see themselves in the Unteilbar or in general have to realize there is also like anti-fascism also means being against fascist groups from other countries, and you can separate that from being a fucking racist.
Yes.
So, but that,
absolutely.
Yeah, but that is a crucial part here. As I said, like the AfD, of course, is filing like a ban, like filing what's it called?
They're making a bad example of this whole thing. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, and like even because again in the episode where we talk about Die Linke, racist handjobs, there is a section of Die Linke that I don't trust to have the nuance to criticize the Grey Wolves without slipping into racism.
Yes.
No, of course not. I don't trust any German.
Me neither. Yeah.
Except for Julia. Julia's the only German I trust to not be woefully racist.
That's a lot of weight on my shoulder now.
Yeah, you have the weight of all of German racism.
It was
on your back
so
right
hard to get her on the show. You guys don't even understand. We found the one non-racist German person. No, but like it is interesting because I think there's also like the problem with that kind of like is somewhat like I guess left liberal or liberal view, like that would be the critique of Unteilbar is Unteilbar wasn't like, from our perspective, probably wasn't sufficiently left enough.
Unteilbar, all right, here's just to put it into perspective. Unteilbar banned communists before they banned the Grey Wolves. They have still not banned the Grey Wolves.
There you go.
I mean, we could say about the party whatever we want, but yes, they did.
Yeah. But the thing about that all is like I feel like the problem with that kind of view is it's also kind of like weirdly racist because it's not imagining Turkish people as people who like some of them are fascist, some of them are communist, some of them are like very apolitical or whatever. Like it's like because there is like in Turkish anti-MHP posters like all over my neighborhood, hung up by like young Turkish people. Like, it's not
not those young Turks, I hope.
No, young Turkish people, not young Turks. There's a
So
and this is the thing, though. Like there is like a massive, like, I mean, this is entirely the sense with it. Whenever you talk about, you know, Middle East and whatnot, is that then it's become a fucking monolith amongst white people of how to then discuss any. I mean, Turkey's not even part of the Middle East, but just like thinking in the sense that then any country that then's outside of that of this white Western perspective of the world has no nuance of politics.
Yeah.
There is no politic in Syria. There's only ISIS, or there's only Assad. There's no nuance in Iraq. There's only Al Qaeda. There's only fucking Saddam Hussein. There isn't a struggle there. It's just a whitewashed fucking view of
Orientalism.
Yeah,
basically.
it is Orientalism.
Yeah,
of course, that is entirely what it is. Turkey within itself has a massive anti-fascist movement.
Turkish people can only be victims in Germany in that sense when you come from a progressive perspective and like a progressive German perspective.
And they can only be untermenschen if you're a fucking right-wing piece of shit.
Exactly.
Like, there is no
nuance there. Yeah, exactly.
And they're both really racist.
Yeah.
It's the thing of like whenever you saw like during like the refugee situation where you would see like older Germans who are like Greens or whatever being interviewed of like, oh, we have to help them because they're like dumb, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's like you had the thing that was the weirdest thing during that was then seeing like articles being like, actually, these people are just like us. It's like, no fucking shit, they're just like us. Like, they suck and they're cool and they're normal. Like, you know, like normal people are not like not every European is cool and not every European's a piece of shit. You know, like, why would you assume that being different anywhere else? Except for the English, they all suck.
But actually, what you just said is also the reason why it is so easy to mobilize people in Germany, in the diaspora, to mobilize people in Germany to join a group like this, because
or at least be sympathetic to them.
Sympathetic, yeah. You don't have to be a full member, and
I'm not a patched in member of the Grey Wolf yet, but I'm trying. I'm a Grey Wolf.
I still haven't got my card in the post.
No, because the rhetoric, narrative.
Happy birthday, Kieran from the Grey Wolf.
Wow, you get like birthday
with an anime fucking Grey Wolf.
Wow,
thumbs upping you.
But sorry, but the serious
Naruto was a Grey Wolf.
Oh my god. I want to make a serious point here.
Go for it, serious point.
But the narrative is the narrative behind the Grey Wolf is that everyone is against us. So we have to stand together and be strong for the Turkish nation, or whatever we imagine the Turkish nation is.
Everything,
basically.
It's the globe. Turkey is
big
planet Earth.
Turkey, Ottoman Empire. Because, and this narrative, of course, works for people that experience discrimination in Germany and have experienced that, whose parents came from, and especially like they're very successful in they were especially very successful in rural parts of Turkey in the beginning, like when they were founded. And due to like a lot of jobs moving into the city, people moved into the city as well. And that led, of course, to, you know, like maybe like, I don't know, a spread of the ideology in bigger cities as well.
Yeah.
You know,
that's
also a lot of people, coming to Germany. Also a lot of people came from rural parts in Turkey where the ideology was a big thing, or where like a socioeconomic factor is also a big thing. You know,
and that definitely is happening right now with the sense of that just fucking Turkey is just economically just exploding or imploding.
Yeah,
sorry.
And we know from different stories. I know we don't only have to do Turkey. We can compare that like to other countries when there is troubles with capitalism, and which there's always troubles with capitalism. But when you feel left out by capitalism, there are different narratives that are offered to you, and a very strong one is the nationalistic narrative. It's something you can identify with, and seeing an outsider as your enemy and the reason why you are struggling, even though you are fucking great because you're from this fucking great country.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think that then, like, I think that when you mentioned at the beginning that in the sense of that then the Grey Wolf's main point is anti-communism is one of the things that then still harbors back onto exactly what you mentioned in the sense of, regardless of which branch of fascism you look at, the sense of it being a reaction to capitalism is obviously a thing. You know, or in the Turkic sense, the reaction to a fail, you know, of the collapsing of a massive empire. Obviously, you're going to have a neo-reactionary movement that then comes out of that. but with on then the back of like the Turkish communist movement was huge in the 50s and 60s.
They have so many parties, so many communist parties.
Yeah. And the fact of that then that the Turkish communists have then, I mean, what's an easier target if you're a Turkish ultranationalist than communists and Kurds, two groups that get along quite well with one another because their struggle is similar. The struggle isn't that of once against, what's the fucking word? I just forgot. It's intersectionalist.
Intersectionalist.
Yeah, there you go. Just one last thing about another thing about the anti-communism thing is that the context in which they start, because they start in like the late 60s, like early 70s, and they're talking about like uniting the Turkic peoples and like one big like state for the Turks. Who has all like most of the Turkic
one big room
groups.
Full of bad bitches, right?
Yeah. And who's like in the view of the Grey Wolves holding all these Turkic peoples hostage? The Soviet Union, because that's where like most Turkic people groups like are at this time. And like as soon as the Soviet Union collapses, they like just spread to Tatarstan to like Kazakhstan to
Q Gucci by
That is a
Krayshawn.
very good point,
One big
actually,
room
yeah.
full of bad bitches. Yeah, that's the name of the episode now. Sorry.
Good, because we can't call it this quarter Späti episode about Grey Wolves because we'll be like murdered probably.
Yeah, no, the name of the episode now is One Big Room Full of Bad Bitches, but we're talking about the Turkish Ultranationalist Project.
We're talking about Panic at the Disco or the Fallout Boy or whatever.
That's actually Krayshawn, but okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So we've kind of just like thrown all this info at you, at light speed, trying to condense as much info about the Grey Wolves that we do know. But back to the sense of that this ban is apparently going to happen within, in France, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. In Germany, I imagine the road to be a little bit rockier because of, like Yulia mentioned earlier as well, that the Grey Wolves have a lot of political connections within Germany, particularly in the south of Germany. Maybe because Bavaria has a really good relationship with Erdogan. Maybe this relationship is because the majority of Bavaria's industry comes from the arms industry, which Turkey is a massive customer from. To where that.
And you see the Kurdish activist actions, like people being put on trial because of showing the.
Remember, we talked about this briefly on the show that the Bavarian state is so stupid that they put Jeremy Clarkson from Top Gear onto a terror watch list.
Yes, I forgot this. Yeah.
Fuck. They lead trials for Erdogan. They put Turkish communists on trials in Bavaria for something they didn't do in Germany, or allegedly didn't do whatever, but for whatever the Turkish state wanted.
It's amazing to me how this country that then is just collapsing before the world's eyes has probably more say within Bavaria than within even their own country.
You can see that with the whole fucking PKK thing, the PKK.
Yeah. No, perfect example of that because the PKK was immediately made illegal in the 90s, after the civil war in Turkey.
Yeah.
And
a lot of pressure.
Yeah, the
Grey
Wolves.
the
Grey Wolves have a much larger membership within Europe.
They have fucking organizations. Their organizations are the Federation of Turkish Democratic Idealist Association in Germany, which is a big one. Then the Turkish Islamic Culture Association in Europe, and the Federation for World Order in Europe, which are all associations of the Grey Wolves. Big ones in Germany.
What was it called? The World Order of Europe? That's so cool.
Federation of the World Order of Europe.
That's so cool. They're really bad at naming things.
I just like that. It was the Federation of World Order of Europe. Our icon is this triangle with an eye in the middle of it. Here.
We own Jay-Z for some reason.
It's just very fascinating how every try to decriminalize the PKK or talk about it is pushed back with so much pressure by the German state, because of so much pressure that we have now under Erdogan as well. We had it before, but under Erdogan it's a big thing again. He won't let anything like that happen. He will call people to take to the streets or something, or use other messages. I don't know.
Look at
or
the sense-
threaten to open the borders. I don't know. You know what he does.
I mean, that's a whole other different topic. Just like think of the sense of like how for the German, particularly the Bavarian police, the YPG and the YPJ flag falls under the exact same category as any PKK logos and stuff like that, because Erdogan pretty much told them to connect that. You know,
exactly.
And
but in Bavaria,
only in Bavaria. But the thing that then is so, I mean, and not even to mention the stuff with Öcalan and whatnot, how you can't even show a picture of him in Germany, like a country that then is not Turkey,
it's
mind
his face also. It's his face.
It's just a picture of his. So you can have like a specific background behind that then's legal or whatever.
It's legal to show. Yeah,
it's amazing how then the fact that like Turkey has dictated German laws in that sense over a group that is, I mean, like the PKK just like barely even there. They're more symbolic, if anything, now. Like, I mean, obviously the PKK exists, but it's not that they're like what is the big threat to Germany with the PKK? Not that there ever really was one.
Yeah, it's fascinating that the big threat, actually, the people that are doing a lot of shit in Germany. So this ultranationalist group of grey wolves that have like a structured organization in Germany, ways of recruitment, an ideology, their ties in politics and probably also economy, like in the economy, because you talked about weapons deals. I don't know about that, but I know about the ties to politics that show like presence in Europe all the fucking time. In Vienna, for example, in this left wing youth center, in France. Now that just happened in October with the memorial, the monument for the Armenian genocide.
Huge presence within, we talked about this before the podcast, they have a huge presence within Sweden, and there was even like accusations that they had ties to the Swedish Green Party.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, I remember we talked about that. That was a fun time.
As I said, there's a CHP, there were there are politicians that are like considered to be like Kemalists or something, and they are still, I mean, we all know that the Kemalists are also not the greatest. No. Social Democrats. We're not going on this direction now. I'm just saying, it is right there in your face. This very big fucking ultranationalist, like fascist group of people that have a big structured organization and ties to politics and everything. It's right there. It's in your face. And you wouldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, well, Kira mentioned earlier too, like one of like the weirdest examples of this is the Uyghur thing.
Oh, the Uyghur. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Some people say Uyghur, and it feels very wrong to say Uyghur. But the people of Xinjiang, the Muslim population within China,
Uyghur?
No one knows how to pronounce it. Of the three of us. We had 3 different.
I've heard 3 different ways in English alone. But that is probably like the weirdest example. But like the independence movement in Xinjiang is called the East Turkestan independence movement. So,
and it's very much supported by then like a lot of the Turkish ultra right wing nationalist things. Like it is an ultra right wing nationalist. It's the thing of that then what a lot of it like that gets like thrown under the bus or whatever is that then when like. Okay, regardless of then the opinion of whatever's going on in that region or whatever, the thing that then I find is one of the weirdest is that when people like in the West start posting like neo-Ottoman memes, but like neo-Ottoman shit because it's anti-China. So they'll start posting the blue flag with the
East Turkestan flag is just the Grey Wolves logo without the wolf on it.
Exactly. And it really is kind of amazing how then like how even that discourse is also then affected by this view of the world and this ideology as well that then is internally within itself like quite right wing,
Yes. This is not to say that anyone on Quarter Späti is condoning the actions of the Chinese government in
No.
Xinjiang.
No. You gotta fucking.
I'm
doing this. I'm on fucking eggshells right now with this. Yes.
Yeah,
But there is an
Please
obvious.
stay out of our mentions. We're already getting attacked by the grey wolves.
Yeah. But this is the whole problem, because it is such a sensitive topic to talk about.
Yeah.
Because of course, you don't want to be like Islamophobic or anything, or support any kind of, action against innocent people or whatever. You don't know, and it is super fucking complicated, and that is why I think Untaiba reacts like that, for example, by not, banning Grey Wolf, the Grey Wolf, like organization or Grey Wolves from their protest. That is why, like, after racist like murders or something like that in Germany, there are protests that are, for example, also attended by Grey Wolves, because it, of course,
It's so weird.
Yeah.
Because the original conclusion of this episode was to be, how is it so easy to ban a group like the Grey Wolves, but it isn't so easy to ban a group like the NPD or, any other neo-Nazi
actually, they
group.
work together.
Not even that they just work together, which I know that we didn't necessarily get to fully
not work
cover
together,
that,
but express sympathy for each other, because actually I think it was Turkish, I don't know, the founder of the MHP said something like, we can learn from the method that the NPD uses. That kind of shit.
Jesus.
Yeah.
And I don't know about ties or something like that. I just say that they do.
I don't know, but you know what? Game recognize, game in this sense.
Yeah.
But the thing that, because the original conclusion that I had planned for this episode, like I said, was to talk about why is it so easy that this is in the discourse right now. But I don't actually think that this ban is going to go through in Germany. In France, because France is probably more monolithically racist than Germany is.
The niqab thing and
not
something.
not that Germany isn't racist. Don't get me wrong.
No. Yeah.
France's Islamophobia they just wear on their sleeve, and
They have a track record of it, basically.
They do. Yeah. I mean, they had colonies in Nigeria until the 70s.
But that's like every European country. It's more just like, if you're a country that's already banned head coverings in public, why not go the full 9 yards? Fuck it.
Yeah, and I think that the French one will probably this is Nick's call of the week. What's going to happen this weekend on Sunday night fucking racism. I do think that France's ban will go through because first off, the French government's much more centralized, and a ban like that could just symbolically go through pretty easily, as we've seen just with like you mentioned, the hijab, not the hijab, the niqab ban, and their other like the burkini ban that they had and all that kind of stuff. Like I think it was just a general face covering ban, wasn't it? And now kind of funny. With Corona.
That's their argument, that you're not allowed to cover your face in public, and they say it's for security reasons, but like, watch people wearing hijabs get tackled to the ground,
exactly,
while guys wearing like blackout motorcycle helmets aren't.
Exactly. And I think that the German state is much more convoluted with that, and that it's not going to go through as well. And I think that the Turkish population in Germany is not Turkish. The Grey Wolf sympathetic population in Germany is much more powerful than it is within France. Now, given in France it is powerful. Like there have been murders that have been committed from the Grey Wolves. Speculated that then some Kurdish activists in the 2000s and the 90s were murdered by the Grey Wolves too. Like there is.
Oh, there were like 3 people. Oh,
yeah.
There were like 3 Kurdish women, murdered in France and
in their apartments.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So like there is it isn't that then it doesn't exist in France, obviously, but I just think that then like the way that how the discourse goes in these two countries is very different, and I don't see Germany going through with it. But my original thing, what I was going to say, is that then why is it that then like Germany and France can then ban Grey Wolves, but then the discussion when it comes to the NPD or Combat 18 or all these other organizations, but I think it's just the sense of that then it there's not even the comparison because it's not going to get banned anyway, right? Like the NPD couldn't get banned because they weren't big enough, and then the Grey Wolves aren't going to get banned because no German wants to be seen as racist. Even if the Grey Wolves are a fascist organization, the end of the day is that then like that's perfect cannon fodder for these groups to then be like,
Exactly.
see, hey,
I was about to say that, yeah. Because you can ban an organization, you can't ban the ideology, which is actually a quote from an article I read today by someone who is the daughter of someone who was murdered by grey wolves.
Oh shit.
We put it in the links for everyone who can read German or Turkish. But that is just a fact, and this group feeds on that. This group feeds on this narrative of the whole world is against us. So a ban is actually something that definitely puts oil in the fire. I don't know if is that an idiom as well? Yeah, that fuels
the fire. Yeah. Let's say, wait, I get what you're saying, but it's not quite right.
Yeah, come on. I was thinking about fuel before, so
give me fuel, give me fire.
I put oil into the fire.
I was about to say. Okay, yeah, go on.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, that fuels the fire, of course. I'm not saying that no ban is also a solution. Like I'm just saying that there is a lot that should be done when it comes to recruiting and mobilizing in the diaspora in Germany. And when it comes to that there are so many young men, feeling like
left out,
feeling like the Grey Wolves are something that gives an identity or like at least something to belong to, something to stand for.
You're told by Germans that you're shit, but then you're told by a group of people that you're like pip. Like, you're obviously going to go with people who tell you that you're fucking cool.
Yeah,
and that you're part of like
it is like, it is a sad situation because like the only you realize the only substantial way to like stop this from happening is to get like ethnic Germans to not be racist. And you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah,
like,
not gonna fucking happen.
No.
Just yeah. I would bet on the world ending before an anti-racist Germany exists.
Yeah, I mean, like realistically, you can talk about like redistributive materialist policies that would like lift everyone who's poor and disenfranchised up because like. Guess what? Like Turkish Germans are.
What was that? What was that chart that came out the other day of that? Then Germany and the United States are like equals when it comes to like the lack of social mobility.
Yeah, and like the Germany, it's very strange for me, particularly because I come to Germany like from Ireland, where Germany has like a much more robust like welfare state than Ireland and things like that. Yada yada yada. But like Germany does have a high, like the highest Gini coefficient in Europe, like the highest.
Kieran just used a slur against Italians on the show right now. What the fuck?
The Gini coefficient.
It's weird. We always call him Gini.
It's the Gini coefficient, but the idea that it's the fucking Gini coefficient is so sick.
Yeah. I thought I was wrong. I was like, wait.
It's the I'm liking the fucking Gini coefficient right here. Yeah, Kieran's supposed to be racist to Italians. Just one line, we're about to fucking end the show, and Kieran's like, nah, we haven't said anything about it. We haven't said a fucking racial slur yet, so let's fucking get on it.
It's my Italian slurs. Yeah.
They're fucking sick of these guineas, these wops, these fucking Goombas.
Oh, stop it!
What?
Yeah, Italy is the mushroom kingdom.
It is.
Oh. Mario. Oh.
Yeah, Mario.
Yeah, okay,
Mario's
cool.
Italian.
Yeah, I know.
Hey. Oh.
I'm stomping here. Yeah. So like they're when Germany has such an unequal population, and I don't know the numbers on this, but I can guarantee you that Turkish Germans are probably disproportionately represented in like the bottom half of society.
Oh
in
yeah,
Germany.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That you don't even have to. You don't just fucking look it up. You can. I mean, walk around Berlin.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is the thing that I've said a million times before on this podcast, that like everyone, when you move to Berlin, everyone says, oh, like Berliners, like born and bred Berliners are really rare, blah, blah, blah. And no, they're not. What they mean is like white born and bred Berliners are really rare. Yeah. But like there's a lot of good that could be done to stop Grey Wolf recruitment if there was like some massive wealth redistribution within Germany to like give the like prime target of Grey Wolf recruitment like other options, like a better life, so that they don't turn to this, I guess. But in the meantime, it's the only other solution is to stop Germans from being racist, and it's like, ugh.
That
well, I mean, like
impossible.
it's like kind of just like on just to show kind of how deeply integrated this is within German society. Is that like so? I work at a bunch of schools that are, that kind of like mostly deal with like these kids with migration backgrounds, as Germany loves using that word, and they have to like the kids like draw collages and stuff like that, and to show them who they are. And oh my god, the amount of Turkish flags that these kids draw is insane. They're not even from as being part of like the diaspora group and whatnot, I get the sense of that then like how an identity like that is important, and I'm not going to discount it and say that then like identity. Like cultural identity is important. It is part of who you are. It is part of how you grow up. Mm-hmm. But you can separate that within the sense of without being nationalistic. Like you can be proud of being Turkish. Like being Turkish is cool. Cool culture. You don't have to tie it in with the sense of like I'm Turkish. By the way, I have to fucking deny the Armenian genocide. Because I like the culture of where my family is from and this and that and what like I grew up doing. Does not ultimately define the politics of what you have. And I'm really I'm really genuinely afraid when I see then like things like that at the schools I work at of then what then like there's something that then is then behind the like that then can get these kids very easily within the like this ultranationalist and for any ultranationalist identity that then feeds off of the diaspora. Like why is Golden Dawn so big in Australia is the exact same reason, Yeah. So it is kind of the thing of that then like there is no comfortable way where then like I think at least from the perspective that I see it, where then like German Turkish children and or people in general can exist simultaneously as being Turkish and German. You have to pick within a lot of the senses, and the reality of it is that the modern German state is not this. I mean, yes,
it's a denial of multiple identities.
Yeah, and Germany doesn't want to.
You can only have one, and you can only be this one person. And
that's still the case with passports.
Absolutely. It is. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So like there's for anyone who doesn't understand this concept, because I know we have a lot of like German like listeners within Germany, but like this is something that I got pretty familiar with too. Like there's good YouTube videos about this. Like there is a good like YouTube channel for learning German, and they did actually a very good video on the usage of the word Ausländer, which is literally foreigner. But like the way it is used within Germany, it will be used like not in a formal setting, not in like any form or anything like that, but it will still be used to describe German people of, as they say, migration background.
Sorry,
is incredibly exclusionary.
Yes,
Kieran and I will never be called Ausländer. So let's just fucking go with it. Yeah.
So people from my town, also people I'm related to. By the side, like on the side, like being in Berlin and seeing people like working at Princeton. It's an anecdote, but it describes this quite well. Saying, why are there so many foreigners working here? Just by the side of people with dark hair that don't fit like the idea of,
AKA, why is everyone hotter than me here?
Yeah, basically. No, but seriously. So, like, just saying that about someone just because they don't look the way that this person expect a German would look like.
Yeah.
So, immediately this person in their mind is an Ausländer. No matter if they're born here, if their parents were born here, if their parents were born here, or if their parents were like came here and they are born here, or whatever. Doesn't matter if they hold up this kind of passport or not. It doesn't matter because you're a foreigner no matter what.
Yeah, and it really is. I mean, just kind of like, at least on my final note is that it really kind of shows the failing of the sense of how, because Germany, I think, because we're talking about this in the sense of the country that the three of us live in. Germany prides itself on the sense of having this like, multicultural education, this and that, blah, blah, blah. But the reality of it is that it's a front. Like, I don't think that there's any sense of like, Germany uses the sense of integration, which integration is bad. The sense of then having this, and I mean integration be in the sense of like the literal usage of the word, that then it's like that you're stripping yourself of a cultural identity so that you
have
can
to
like
become super
integrate.
German.
You have to become German, yeah.
Eat sauerkraut.
Exactly, but Germany's very recently, I think, been having to deal with the reality of what it is to be German, which is not a white, so like
Nope.
a white supremacist like view of Germany. Like it was up until very recently that then in order to be German, it came down to the sense that you had German blood. Like that was written out of the Constitution like the 90s, I think, or something like that. If I'm not mistaken.
I don't know.
Like
it, like shockingly late. Like not. It should have been written out in 1945.
Yeah.
I just know that German integration politics like took off maybe in the 90s when they realized, oh shit, we are migration
because the
society. Yeah.
The reality of it is that then all of the Turks, Greeks, and other people from the Balkans were supposed to go back.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they weren't
supposed to stay here.
They had the idea that they would come, work, build Germany, and then leave again.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't put any like political measures into integrating people, whatever integrating in this sense means, because that is a big debate as well. So
yeah, and I think then the sense of that Germany and Germans especially like to have this like magical fairy tale of like multiculturalism and this and that, but I don't ever see it, to be very honest. And I think it's really amazing when then I'll be I'll be in the fucking U-Bahn and I'll hear kids talking about like, the racism that they experience at school and stuff like that. Just like, that they're, sitting next to you and talking about like, oh, like we had like I literally heard like a month ago or so coming home from work one day, I overheard these girls talking about how they had like an anti-racism program at school, and they were like bitching about how the school is really racist itself. They should like the people who lead the program should take part in the program themselves, because they've heard all the racist stuff that their teachers and stuff like that do and say and whatnot. So it is like, it's at least good to see that in the sense that there are these, kids and students who like recognize that. I don't want to say that I have hope for the kids in this sense, like by no means. Gen Z may or may not destroy us or save us. But there is obviously like a sense of they are aware of it. Like, it's not like these kids aren't fucking stupid, obviously. And I do hope that, being a little bit optimistic at the end of this episode, talking about something shitty like Turkish ultranationalism, I do hope that then, the reality of it is that it's not a fucking white savior complex. Banning them, a white supremacist state banning a Turkish nationalist group is not going to be the thing that solves it. It has to come from internally within these communities, obviously. And I think that there is a potential of it, obviously.
Yeah. I think the disconnect was that it's probably been in the communities for a long time now. Yeah. It's just that the white supremacist state hasn't responded yet.
Yeah.
Like if Antalbar had talked to a group of Turkish people and it's hard to just find a group of Turkish people who would probably have the same politics as you, but if they did,
find Marxist-Leninist groups, actually.
Yeah, sure, but again, when they're kind of like the airy-fairy, progressive, liberal kind of blob, it's a little harder. But that Turkish group probably would have told you to ban the Grey Wolves. So the communities have probably been saying this for a very, very, very long time. It's just that the state hasn't responded.
Nobody listens.
Yeah. I also wanted to say about the whole Germany as a white state. I also just want to add one little thing about the discourse, and because the discourse on that is slowly opening up and is entering pop culture, because everyone forget that we did an episode on this, but in 2018, I think maybe early 2019, I can't quite remember, but the music video for Rammstein's Deutschland depicted Germania as a black woman. Which, as far as I know from people who've talked about the video at length, that was just a fuck you to everyone who thought Germany is inherently white.
Yes.
Do we have any other last points? I think that we could talk about this for forever, and I would not like to, but
yeah. It's an organization that is there, and I think this is kind of been one of Corner Späti's "We Explain One of Our Jokes" episodes, because we've referenced the Grey Wolves a couple of times, and I kind of assumed.
And they luckily became relevant for a second this week.
Yeah. Well, they're always relevant because they have been relevant during the war, Azerbaijan-Armenian war, because they have been sending letters to Armenian people with of Armenian descent in Germany saying we would kill you like we killed your ancestors, etc., etc. So this is not a fucking joke. This fucking group,
I love being bullied on the
this
internet by Turkish
fucking
nationalists.
committed like massacres against Alevites in Turkey in I don't know, the 80s or 70s.
Yeah.
I think the 70s, because that was a brutal that was against the PKK and like Kurdish people. They are fucking murdering people. Okay, this is a group that is all about that.
Yeah.
If there are any Turkish nationalists listening, this episode was actually about Panic at the Disco, but we didn't want to be libeled, so we just called them Grey Wolves the entire time. That's it.
Yes.
You know, I don't write sins, I write tragedies, right? Or whatever the fuck.
Oh, jeez.
Oh god.
But the
That's
tragedy
like a weird, dark
Yeah, it
context.
does have a weird dark.
When we're, like,
I don't know how
thinking
to
about
feel.
the Armenian- Oh, no.
I don't know how to feel about anything anymore. I'm so confused.
And on that note,
Yeah, on that note.
we will see you guys all next week. Thank you for tuning in and kind of, you know, exploring our mind palace within this.
Mine is a wreck.
And do we have any announcements this week?
No announcements this week, except the girl listening to this is really cool. I don't know. I wanted to do the girl looking at this meme, but I didn't get the format right. Anyway, if you're listening to this, you're really cool. To the 11,000 members of the Turkish Grey Wolves in Germany who are hate listening to this, thanks for the bump in the stats.
Yeah.
We'd like you to go to stamps.com and put in Jesus, I don't know. It's been a real week, guys. Join us next week for hopefully a lighter episode.
Yeah. Oh no, of course not. The world's gonna end next week, and we'll be there for it. So,
Yes.
yeah, we will see you guys all next week, and take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.